Dusk Before Dawn. Poems by Jessica Knauss. Text copyright 2010 by Jessica Knauss. All rights reserved. This recording copyright 2022 by Jessica Knauss. Cover photo, Arcos de la Frontera, Spain. Copyright 2009, Jessica Knauss. Introduction. I have divided these poems into 5 sections based on the question words. How explores the expression of ideas through language. My main inspiration here is that vast invisible chasm between what one person wants to say and what the next person understands. The poems in Why imply that poetry, like any art, is a labor of love. Where joins together my poems with a geographical theme. Inherent in them is the sense of loss the traveler feels, always being somewhere else. The pieces in When are the most surreal, suggesting that we produce poetry in those edgy moments outside of time that no one can explain. Finally, Who contains poems concerned with the discovery of personal identity and the at times necessary wrenching of identity out of treacherous circumstances. I hope these 5 sections will stimulate the reader's 5 senses. Thank you for listening. How? Alfred. Huelem ward be warda, huelem anyit of anyete. The translation of which is sometimes word for word, sometimes sense for sense. Hieroglyphs served their purpose in Egypt, a purpose that withered from the world with the invention of paper, word processors, laser printers, not to mention those things as yet unimagined. But we have not yet created the machine which can manage the wonder of converting the obscure oeuvres of the mind from one set of linguistic realities to another. It takes a human to disperse the same delight by different words, reasonably respecting the expectations of the monolingual, and within the limits of meaning, order, and style. The translator must record what is most ephemeral and deliver it for scrutiny. This is the challenge of an excellent and often misunderstood art. He who wishes to be remembered will have to accept that his memory will be in translation. People change, and they change their language, so that within 900 years it can become unrecognizable as the same language. Memory can go back only so far. Alfred the Great would not seem so great today if he dared to speak his own Old English to us. Gibberish, we'd call it, though for him it always got the point across. Talking is also translating. Obstacles in the path are many. Let us focus on the translator in his study. Around him, strange books from far-off places, nothing we would know, his only company, the dictionary, the use of which makes him miss the good old days when all languages were integrated. Still, he finds that by executing the perfect phrase, word by word, sense by sense, the voices of the world merge, momentarily and extempore. Mother lengua. Mother tongue, kiss me goodbye, for I'm going to a land where I will see you not. You may write me letters, which I can throw away from me, but never again will you seize me in frenzy and shake your words out of my mouth and my fingertips whenever you think I should be shaken. Over the telephone I can make faces and you won't know. I can speak another language and I don't have to translate everything for you. This morning I went out to breakfast. I saw sitting across from me 2 mujeres guapísimas, speaking my mother tongue. I think they noticed my mirada fija, and they looked at me with reproach in their exotic eyes. I should have introduced myself. We are all strangers in this country together. We should have been the best of amigas, they being 2 parts of my soul, and I a vision of their bodies. They wore their hair in the style of my country. Lengua materna, bésame, regreso a tus brazos. Antes de nacer fueron tuyas las palabras que pululaban en mi cerebro. Te he ido conociendo por las aulas y los libros, con una paciencia que mata a las demás emociones. Te he llegado desde lejos, tras las millas que debían ser kilómetros. Con cada paso me sentí una transformación, una metamorfosis, del tipo que ocurre solo a los que se cambian de piel, que tienen la luz nuevamente restaurada, que después de pasar el tiempo largo sin lengua, se encuentran capaz de hablar. Echando de mi boca la fluidez de tus palabras, que nunca se impusieron sobre mi lengua, me siento por fin guapa. Idiomatic expression. I speak to all nations on the information superhighway, but do you know that you are the only one to understand? Though I shout it, and my scream bounces off the mountains and reverberates in all the ears of the earth, la agonía desaparece después del grito. El mensaje no crece si no entiende nadie. It returns to me unheard. I know the truth and I can tell it, but though you listen, all you know is a rush of gurgling water, diphthongs, gutturals, clicks and buzzes. Yo no tengo las palabras, el mensaje yace como la muerte en el alma. Everyone understands a scream. I'm talking to you. If you understand, tradúzcame el mensaje para que el mundo entero oiga. Un solo lenguaje no basta. Just one language is not enough. Without language in Córdoba. Tell me, without language, about the time you crossed the Roman bridge and watched the sun rise over the city from the Torre de la Calahorra. Say how the oranges and pinks of the madrugada hit your chest, made you cry, made you mute, beyond language. The man who invited you to break fast 4 times before you accepted was experienced in the life beyond language. He'd seen the sun rise here before, and he knew you needed toast and hot chocolate. Your system read the language of DNA and digested this soul food as you sat across from this man in the cafe and listened to Canadian tourists wondering about the mosque and the palace of the Christian kings. Can you see that tower? That was a minaret, and we might this very minute be hearing the call to prayer sung from there if we were living 1,000 years ago, you said in a language they knew. They were impressed. The man who treated you to breakfast told you in the language of his body that he had an appointment he must keep now. The morning light set his hair aflame as he walked down the blue street. Language failed you, and you could only describe the morning as burning in your notebook, where you tried to use language, symbols, to convey the solitude of the sunrise on the bridge. You tried to use black markings to show the colors of joy in the sun's possession of the sky. Tell me about this. Without language. The Poet's Arsenal. I need to hear from you at least twice a week, or else my ear will shrivel from disuse and neglect. You say the things that give rhythm to my heartbeat. When you tell me your dreams as they have appeared to you in my absence, whole worlds cascade into my body through the ear. You conjurer, you pyrotechnician, words are your dynamite. When I hear you, I must explode. Why? Cold poem. Writing a sonnet's a difficult task, not like dancing flamenco. Compression of ideas in a 14-line session does not resemble a sunlit bask. Sonnets are not beautiful like damask. There overtakes my soul a dissension any time my professor mentions writing them. Whatever for, I have to ask. However, the expansive adoration that my love feels for me miraculously compresses into this rigorous form. He finds in the laws an emancipation to present his mind tangles diaphanously. Love makes a cold poem passionate and warm. Long distance. Your joy would cause the springtime a spell of jealousy, and the cold of your anger would make a Massachusetts winter shiver. But it is not these I miss. Simply your presence, the sensual experience of your voice, lost in the metallic conversions of a telephone wire. The heat of you 5 inches away, or closer, never imitated in the tamed temperature of an electric blanket. Your facial expression, never captured by photographs. Your body is not here, but I know that because it is here on the page, I could never miss your mind, and that your soul is down here, behind my teeth. Though you can't bridge this long distance, you are inside everything I do. Low light. Listen, my love, to the way the wind shakes up the trees, raises the dust, batters our siding, overturns plants, rams into our world unchecked. This is how I love you. Look, love, against the irredeemably black sky. A secret, unsilent pattern of stars veils the truths of the universe. Where the morning will show the horizon, look at that bright planet, twinkling slowly, now quickly, sending you feverish messages in code. This also is how I love you. Now shut the window, climb back and be covered. Let the low light adjust to your eyes. This also is how I love you. This also. The Painter's Honeymoon. Lord Frederick Leighton understood that love comes in soft hues of gold, that its lines are warm and comforting, smooth and flowing as the folds of an olive-toned gown, which with its velvet covers layers of full, bountiful petticoats, completely hidden. He recognized that love blooms like golden pears outside the window, blossoms like the glow in the young bride's face. As he tenderly holds his sketching pencil, so too does he hold her hand, as she inclines toward his smooth face, her eyes lowered. The wide drawing desk shades and obscures the red passion of his stockings. Travels. It was never before so hard to swallow bread. Only in this place, away, do the tears begin before coffee. The soup is bitter, cold, and foul, as though I cried into it last week. I probably did. Here they serve the same stew until we leave. This is not what they advertised. They forgot to tell me leaving you would be death, that for tightness I never would swallow life's breath again. Words. Love passed on from father to daughter more strongly than Freud understood. An arm around a small waist as we rest halfway up the mountain. A walk in the forest when all leaves, insects, and trees are identified. A hand to hold a white form steady walking down the longest aisle. Words. Words like, I'm so proud of you. Words like, you're my favorite daughter. Words like, and like. And then even, and who can say she has lived if she has not heard these words, felt those guiding, supporting hands, and who can say she has not died every night wishing for those words whose sound she does not know? And who can wish for more than that? And who deserves less? Where? The following poem has footnotes. I will read the first footnote directly after its citation, and I will save the rest of the footnotes for the end of the poem, so as not to interrupt the flow. Granada. Dale limosna, mujer, que no hay en la vida nada como la pena de ser ciego en Granada. Note 1. Andalusian saying emphasizing the beauty of the newly conquered city of Granada. Give alms, woman, because there is no greater pain in life than to be blind in Granada. End note 1. Section 1. The scorched earth throbs like the wavering voice of an ancient call to prayer. Centuries ago, Granada faced east to find holiness. We faced the mountains at the set of the sun to watch Boabdil sigh. The ground bursts forth into a rhythmic fountain, some strains of which Albéniz captured on his piano, the majority escaping him to flow eternally in paradise. Agua oculta que llora. Section 2. Our water is sacred too. Would you force us to stop bathing? Once in these blue-tiled baths, a sultan tossed an apple to his favorite and danced in the face of death. Section 3. Will I feel like Queen Isabel as she rode out from Santa Fe? Will I purge the heathens from my country and keep my citizens holy? Or will El Chico conquer my heart and add the tears that flow from my blind eyes to the salty pool in which he yet drowns? If I eat this pomegranate, will Granada flow through my veins? Section 4. We will take your words, Chico, your pillow, your rug, your red fortress. We will take your music, and we will use your movements to dance in the face of death. But you will have to leave the land that 781 years ago the Goth handed to you, its sweet juices turned bitter in his mouth. Section 5. In the mountains, the gypsies live among the sighs. The regrets and the whispering water cool the burning sunlight. The beggar cannot see even the blue arabesques on the pottery in front of which he implores. The patterns realize the tears he would cry if he knew what beauty he is missing. Agua oculta que llora. Section 6. The last stronghold, the last sigh. In the crevices of this red pomegranate hide the beginnings of beauty and the end of joy, the first step to the new world. Gold, God, glory. The ruffle on the skirt speaks. The concrete on the street speaks. The flowers speak, the lions speak, the myrtles speak, the fountains speak. I am the first and the last, the beginning and the end. The walls themselves must cry out, God is great, there is no God but Allah, in writing that dances its praise to the Lord. Cool passageways, room of secrets, patio of lions, brothers in glory, brothers in defeat, brothers all. Ay, Dios mío. It matters little which God it is. There is no God but God. Section 7. Let me hold you here, pomegranate, close to my heart, while the dreams float away on the hidden waters that weep. Note 2. Boabdil el Chico, the last king of Granada. When, in 1492, he rode away from his beloved city, surrendering it to the Catholic monarchs, it is said that he began to lament his misfortune. His mother told him, "It is right, my son, that you should weep like a woman for what you could not defend as a man." Today, outside the city, there is a vista of the Alhambra fortress called Last Sigh of the Moor. Note 3, in reference to Agua Oculta que Llora, from a traditional poem describing the cities of Andalusia, Hidden Waters That Weep. Note 4, as bathing was such an important ritual of Islam, the medieval Christian kings eventually banned such practices, regarding them as signs of promiscuity, lasciviousness, laziness, and other undesirable traits associated with the newly converted Moorish subjects. Note 5, the pomegranate is the symbolic representation of the city of Granada as well as its literal meaning in Spanish. Note 6, in Spanish, the words for these objects, pillow, almohada, rug, alfombra, are taken from the Arabic. Red fortress is the literal meaning of Alhambra. Note 7, the last king of the Spanish Visigoths, Rodrigo, invited the Moors from northern Africa to help him fight a civil war. In 711 CE, they took the bountiful but politically weak land for themselves. The Pacific Ocean at midnight in May. The dark side of a planet has no light. It has turned away from warmth, and it has no pity for shivering living creatures. The air is so black it wants to crush, but the vacuum of space pushes ever outwards. Thus they remain in balance. Tell me about your passions, says the lover. The words sail weightless past a beloved ear. Formerly blue and white, waves and foam are black and grey blobs, cometing away from gravity, Earth's body. The lover wants to cast off his clothes and run along the border between black and white stars and the black and grey water. But he would not find the clothes again in the blackness. The only movements are the cometing grey blobs, approaching his eyes faster without the hindrance of light. Are those bullet holes in the fabric of night? Or are they glittering jewels set on black satin and loose cotton wool? Can you pull the smooth cover over your head and lose your humanity? The searchlight navigating the sky and its twin reflection in the clouds reveal sand dunes that aren't there. What happens to them before you step on them? God has pulled the rug out from under your blind feet. Footsteps plunge deep into the earth. Foot and shoe leather alike journey below thousands of grains of sand. The board bridge is invisible over the meek trickles the river makes against the noise of night. The orange bonfire shoots a bullet at the sky. The living creature no longer sees the stars he came to worship. Black sand on the lover's cheek reminds him that even with his arms spread against the sky, even with night's cover pulled tight to his shoulder, he shivers. Cante hondo. Mi tierra tengo que dejar y marchar a otra tierra desconocida. ¿Qué soy yo sin la tierra donde nació mi alma? ¿Qué sentido hay en una vida tan desterrada? En mi casa tengo la raíz de los sueños. Ay. Córdoba, 995 AD. His woman this morning was scented with rosewater. The breath of orange trees fills his senses. But he must clear his mind of worldly things. Red and white arches catch his thoughts as they soar skyward. There is no God but God. A handkerchief spans the width of this street. Whitewash, synagogue. A prayer rug spans the width of this room. Peace. When Rodrigo lost his glorious city, it was only the beginning of the end. Second-class citizens in their own land, his people await a savior to free them from these chains. Lord, have mercy. The sun set, there rises a crescent moon. In this season the sky bows before the wheat, the olive trees bring forth, and the grapes yield. God is great. Morning in Northern California. This cool morning wakes every beauty on the earth. Ocean, trees, and sky. Snow fantasy. Snow is piling on the ground a centimeter per second. I didn't know dirt could freeze, but it has. Massachusetts thinks we are still in the Ice Age. Snow was created to be a barrier, to keep people from crowding into California. Its white blankness was meant to erase the memory of green. It has failed. There is no snow under the shade of redwood trees. On a 10-mile path through a canyon of ferns, with a creek of pure water disturbed only by falling needles. California is a real place. I did not make it up. No child of my winter-bound brain could be so temperate. Sunlit days in fields of tall grasses, where horses run toward the sea. A patterned veil of sunlight falls on the forest floor, where in Massachusetts would fall doilies of snow. Snow fantasy. When? Social revolution. It is a warm day. A robin sings. Mother and I walk to church. Along the street, people are holding signs. Others are still painting them. A green triangle, a pink circle, a yellow square, an orange trapezoid, each color more true than reality. In the center of each shape are two vertical parallel lines, like pigs' nostrils, 4 snouts to each sign. I have known for many months that we have been overdue for social revolution. But these people are only now catching up to my idea. But they abstract and symbolize with geometric snouts on cardboard. Inside the church, the preacher teaches to a sea of well-groomed heads. They've come in waves. I can't see the preacher over the ocean's ripples, nor through the thick air that holds the congregation together like a heating pad. Follow the will of the Lord. Follow me, those who are ready for social revolution! The man bursts into the back of the congregation. Cold air rushes around him, towards us, vacuum. He holds a cardboard with a green triangle, a pink circle, a yellow square, an orange trapezoid. Colors unnaturally magnified in the eyes of the people, hungry during the length of the sermon. I had been thinking for many months that the time was right for social revolution, but I think these people have taken it the wrong way. What do they mean by a green triangle, a pink circle, a yellow square, an orange trapezoid? 4 sets of pig nostrils for smelling injustice. The preacher puts his hands on his hips, from which he will issue a chastising pronouncement of unequivocal authority, but the revolutionary and his sign disappear out the back. Some people follow, shuffling out the door, a small trickle out of the sea. My friend next to me leans toward my ear. "It's time for social revolution," she whispers. "Okay, you go ahead. I'll stay here," I say. "I'll never come back," her green eyes as intense as the triangle snout. I think, maybe she will, maybe she won't, no difference. She kisses me on the cheek with lips that smell like pickles and trickles quietly out the door with the rest. My seat has glue on it, or, though I have long known the urgency of social revolution, these people don't have a clue. Call numbers of the wild. The cold night gnaws at her feet, quickly moving on the path along the edge of the pond. The stars twinkle like Morse code. Her breath hangs in the air long after she is gone. In the pond it is dark, with fish and snapping turtles. Her eyes have strained to investigate their world. Up the wide steps go the raggedly cold-gnawed feet. The heat inside the library keeps her cheeks red and her eyelids low. Her fingers gather dust and mold as they fly along row after row of books, 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 all in order before she can leave them. Books, books, books navigate their dust and mold through her nose up into her brain. Books, books, books draw her eyes into infinity. Above and below, to the left and to the right, in front and behind, what is not book is concrete. Dust and mold, pulp, ink, concrete. There is no air at infinity. Only call numbers. PQ 6323 A1 1979B, Volume 1. PQ 6323 A1 1979B, Volume 2. The fish watch with unblinking eyes, as again the chilled feet, now down to the bones, step hurriedly around the pond, their home, PQ 7797C 7145R3. The stars overhead tap out their code. The water is not as cold as she had imagined it would be, E125, N9, N88, as it closes over her feet, her knees, her hips, BF 241, I44, 1973, her shoulders, her neck, and her hair, BD21W4. It feels fuzzy. The water feels fuzzy, like dust and mold. Sangria. I am often a bump of wax in the bottom of a glass candle holder. Sometimes I want to be even less. I want to be pollen in the air, close to nothing, dust specks flying in a ray of sunlight, so I can float up above this den of condemned who wait out their sentences in desperation, ingesting poisons and burning the pungent herbs of the sacred death gods, holding them between their fingers. I want to equal the nothingness that my voice becomes when I sing out in terror, because nothing has no weight, and nothing can fly up beyond the reach of the death chant that pretends to come out of the throats of the patient damned, but really comes out of the earth, up from the intestines of the long defunct. I know the lives of these damned are worthless to me, even more than I am worthless to them. What if I danced their death dances and poisoned myself according to their laws? I could join in their sickly passes. I could let them envelop me. This is one way of becoming, smoke of incense and ashes. But if I more persistently become melted wax, I will evaporate and slowly become nothing. The end of light. The darkness holds us together. The light flies us asunder. The night calms us like ether. Our brains wave at the thunder. The stars prick at us like nettles, but we feel none of the wonder. The daylight breaks our shells so brittle, but as the night begins to rain, the sunlight's power falls like petals. Particles that grow the grain never answer all our whys. The curious child must hide in shame. A flower grows and so it dies, jolted by the daylight's lies. Invasion. If we walk up slowly, breathe stealthily, perhaps she will not see us. Notice how the golden strands fall around the bent neck as she studies the picture of the comfortable-looking young man in a blue sweater, his hands on his hips. Notice the curve of her hands as she holds those hips in her mind. See how smoothly the young man's arms go around her. She can see his face now just as clearly as if it were actually occupying the three-dimensional space in front of her. If we look closely, perhaps we can see it as she sees it. The young man is reunited with her now, though, in some realities, he remains a continent away. Her ear moves slightly. She has detected us. She forces the photograph into the drawer. Her eyes swing around and pierce us. White sky. There is a white sky in the air, which compresses his brains to the point of an argument. Burned coffee and wet toast. Blue, green, or brown, his eyes feel only red today. The sun can probably see him as it lurks behind an air bubble of clouds. Otherwise, he wouldn't see with such foggy clarity the leaf come from 40 miles away to rest on his windowsill. Dry, grey, its life-giving veins once bursting, now empty. It wants to sigh, but death prevents it, so the man sighs in its place. The sky, a bald spot crowning 17-story grey buildings, is white. Not blue, not grey with thunderstorms. White. Who? Daughters of the Dawn. Love found a voice in the throats of women. Ability found a home in their arms. It was the same all over the world. Hard work weakened backs, in grassy plains and rocky crags, on jutting mountains and in sweltering valleys. Anguish was the companion to life, but still beauty found a way into faces and souls. Daughters as easily as sons carried the excruciating burden of human existence, but somehow life advanced only the sons and those who would follow them. And now, my daughter, it is time. Awaken from the sleep that has kept us not ourselves. Even when we have felt in our heart the cries of wolves, we have kept silent, but even the most tightly wrapped caterpillar requires the bursting forth of a butterfly. I ams. I am the rocks in the sand. I am the purple sea anemone. I am the starfish that walks slowly. I am the blade of grass next to the daisy. I am the water under the duck. I am the leaf that falls from the tree. I am the fern in the shade of the sequoia. I am the rubber on the sole of the shoe. I am the eye that never closes. I am the sponge that is never saturated. I am the freckle between the shoulder blades. I am the pause in the music. Ode to a Cricket. This morning I awoke to a cricket in my soul. My ears heard him, and my eyes looked out the window. I inspected the floor, and the bookshelf, and the closet, and the ceiling, and discovered that no matter where I went, this cricket's cry was with me. Standing in the corner, in the doorway, on the bed, this cricket made his music from someplace between my ears. Deep in my entrails, there is a softly singing cricket, and he knows the Hallelujah chorus. Symphonic Impression number 5. In the world, there is molten iron, and this in the same place as rainstorms, nightfalls, wind chimes. We don't think about the light until it's gone out. I can't appreciate the peach until I've peeled its skin. A kiss can be gliding soft and fuzzy, or its jagged edges can cut and bleed. The mysteries of the eternal can be captured in a touch. At this time, fiery iron is doused with water. It hardens, permanizes, rusts. And then the hand moves, and a new eternity collapses. Hairs stick out of skin and scream. Let us honor the eternities that have died. Let us give a resting place to my never having played the drums, and to the virgins who have made love. Words about rain. Before the rainbow, but not before the floodgate bursts, and before the end of life, but not before the heart makes 0. You are a cold statue, sculpted by wrinkled, white, well-reasoned hands, dry, solid, brittle. Cold makes frigid, and suddenly, without a cry, the torrent strips you, shoulder to foot, of your cherished madness. A cluster bomb of water attacks you with pleasure. Its passion permeates and joins together your brittle inner flakes, and washes out through your once brittle toes, and glides across the ground toward the trees. If your wet feet can't follow, it will leave you behind until the next floodgate burst, the next Heart Zero. Acknowledgements. Alfred has previously appeared in a different form in honor of Daniel Weisbort. University of Iowa Department of Comparative Literature, Iowa City, 2001, pages 11 and 12. Call Numbers of the Wild first appeared in Haggard and Halloo, August 17, 2010. Invasion first appeared in Apollo's Lyre, September 2010. Dictionary first appears in the Shine Journal, September 2010. So many thanks to the members of the Poetry and Creative Writing Workshops at Wheaton College in Norton, Massachusetts. About the poet. Born and raised in Northern California, Jessica Knauss has become something of a wanderer who hopes to settle down soon. She earned a PhD in medieval Spanish literature from Brown University. She has worked as a librarian and a Spanish teacher as well as a writer. Knauss has participated in many writers' groups and workshops, including the International Writers Program at the University of Iowa. Her writing has appeared in many venues, and she has published several novels as well. Get updates on her writing at jessicaknauss.com. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss another amazing, unrepeatable, unique book. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.